So we're going to talk about festival, concert, fashion culture, and hopefully have a more meaningful discussion around it, and also about the solutions that we can do in our scale to kind of, slow down the problem. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome if you're new. Welcome back if you're revenant. Please consider subscribing if you like everything and anything about secondhand fashion, chaotic styling, and yapping. For today's video, because it's finally summer and it's finally, concert slash festival season in the northern hemisphere, at least, I thought that it would be interesting to talk about the festival, concert, fashion culture and how it has evolved, and like what it means, and like the kind of solutions that we can take in order to not speed run the whole catastrophe of this failing empire and environmental crisis that we're living under. And yeah, so just wanted to touch upon that a little bit, because I thought that it's something that has not really been talked about much, even though I kind of read quite some articles, but I feel like that they all had the same kind of conclusions and aspects putting forward. And I wanted to dig a little bit deeper and kind of trying to see the whole picture as to why this phenomenon has become what it is today. And also today, I'm sorry if you can see some reflection or whatever, but I have to wear my glasses today because my eyes are not having it. So I hope you don't mind. And I also want to preface that I might be absent for a week or two because I'm moving tomorrow and it's going to take a little bit of time for me to settle in my new place and all that jazz. So just so you know, if I'm absent for a week or two, that's because I'm trying to sort my life out, not that I completely abandon everything, but I just wanted to warn you. Concert fashion culture is not something that is new. And every time I think about it, the first thing that comes to mind to kind of explain how it is something that has existed for a long time is to think about Woodstock. When you think about Woodstock in the 60s, 70s, like people have in mind that very, hippie-like, bohemian festival that people went to. The whole vibe was very kind of identifiable. Like you think Woodstock, you think hippie, Janis Joplin was there, Jimi Hendrix, and all those kind of big artists were there in a time when like there was a cultural shift where the youngsters at the time wanted to detach themselves from the very conservative, very kind of frigid society that the United States was under at the time. So, like this very peace and love and make love, not war, and all that. The Woodstock and the artists in Woodstock were very much about that. And I feel like that even at that time, artists were quite vocal about their political positions and being anti-war and all that jazz. Let's not forget that it was during the Vietnam War as well. So, the kind of like this counterculture to push back from this very military-like, very conservative system was really huge. And the way the artists were dressing was very much reflecting that. And so the people who were listening to that type of music were also, like mimicking those artists and, marking like the cultural zeitgeist. And I feel like that, today when we talk about hippie culture, bohemian culture, even though I have a video about cultural appropriation and also where like boho comes from. So if you want to go watch it, please go watch it. But like, that's how it was called back then. The whole hippie movement was very much, boho movement as well. And then I think about the punk movement that came after the, hippie. It was like end mid 70s, like to the 80s. The punk movement was, a more kind of aggressive, reclaiming like the like urban spaces, and also a counterculture to the, political atmosphere back then. It first grew in the United Kingdom, and then it kind of, moved to the United States. But for example, when I think about punk, I always think about Sex Pistol in the UK, which, were kind of the first punk British groups to really make punk something. And the things that they were also selling, and the thing that they were saying, and especially the clothing, was very, kind of defining what punk was. So clearly you can see that like concert fashion culture is not new. It's just that in the past few years, with big celebrities such as Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce touring, and people sharing what they were wearing and stuff like that, it has actually been kind of more scrutinized in a way. Because the thing is, the people who were sharing their outfits, some of them would actually say where they would actually buy it, and a lot of the like outfits were bought in ultra or fast fashion brands. And it kind of raised some question about the whole like ethic and sustainability of it all, because the single-use outfit was kind of a problem, especially when the growing environmental issues that we're living under. And like, the thing is, like, the reason why, for example, those big concerts like today, like Harry Styles, Taylor Swift, and Beyonce specifically, when you think about them, the first thing is, you really think about like the very specific outfits, is because, like, they were easily distinguishable. I feel like that, for example, as someone who went to some Harry Styles concerts last year, like, you would easily see who were the Harrys. For instance, like, there was one very important element that was kind of the core of the Harrified outfit, and it would be like the boa. I think that even in New York, this went out of stock, because all the Harrys wanted to buy a boa, because it's really kind of the element that would actually link you to like the Harry Styles style. Knowing that Harry Styles kind of popularized the boa in one of his like performance for the Grammys. I think, was it the 2021 or 2020? One of either 2020 or no, or 2021. I think it was maybe 2021. But he wore like a boa and a leather outfit, like it was like a leather jacket with a matching leather trousers. And ever since, the boa became like a massive Harry thing. And mind you, it was the first time he was also winning Grammy Awards for Watermelon Sugar, his song, which actually really got him into, the zeitgeist as a solo artist, knowing that previously he was in the One Direction. And yeah, so there was that. There was also people, who would get really creative and recreating some of his outfit, like the ones that he wore in Coachella. And there would be like also kind of gag outfits in a way that was like inside jokes within the fandom. For example, some people would come and be dressed as bananas. And it was similar for other fandoms, for the Taylor Swift fandom, the Beyonce. Like, Beyonce was also very specific, because it was very much, disco ball, silver, queer coded and you know like cowboy as well. And because as human beings we have this need of belonging, like fans will tend to really put their all in their outfits because they have this opportunity finally to engage with their community, that a community that they tend to engage most online, and then to be able to be surrounded by like hundreds of thousands of other people that also kind of idolize, appreciate, and you know have like the same a common love for the same artist. Like it kind of encourages you to really partake in the moment, because at the end of the day it's all about the community, it's all about the fun of it all. On the Dallas Observer, like Madison Truscott, who is a Taylor Swift Eras Tour attendee, said this about like dressing up for a show. She said, and I quote, "Any show that I am attending where I am a loyal fan and know the majority of the music will be a show I dress up for," Truscott says. "It gives me a way to express myself and is part of the fun of attending a show." It's always so reassuring to be part of, among people who in a way understand you, because they have a common love for an artist, for a book, for whatever item that exists in the society, when people are not seeing you as crazy. Especially that it's so important to note that like the way women and girls are treated for having passions is completely different from men, because like dressing up very specifically for something is not new in other cultural events. It's just that when it's women and girls doing it, suddenly it's weird, because there's always this kind of common, kind of very misogynistic need in the society, this patriarchal society, to mock women for whatever passion that they have. So that's also why, like, when you know that you're surrounded by people who kind of understand you, are not mocking you whatever for being a fan, or for dressing up in a way that is mimicking your favorite whatever, it always feel like really good. And you don't have like much opportunity to do that outside of going to that concert. So like planning an outfit for a lot of concert goers can actually be planned like upwards to months and weeks, and it's like really a community thing where people are going to ask about advices, and you with your group of friends, and you texting about what you're planning to wear, and you're going to order some like clothes because of a specific items that you do. Some people even do like research, trying to really research like some outfits to really kind of make sure that they're on theme, or to know like what that fave was doing, and what music video, what so. And I'm talking about music here because it's concert fashion outfit, but like it also happens in film. Like for example, the whole Barbie moment was kind of big, but I feel like that for films it does not happen that much. I feel like that like Barbie, because it's Barbie, and because of the whole marketing of Barbie, it kind of pushed more people to also kind of play along with this movie, and kind of really like getting into dressing up and all that jazz. And also like the whole fashion of like concert going or even festival going, Coachella kind of was a catalyst to see like music festival as more of a fashion moment than the music itself, because many celebrities, many influencers will go there, and it would be like months of preparation to figure out like what outfit to wear and all that jazz, because you know that there's going to be like big publications going to write like articles about the best or the worst outfit. There's going to be plenty of videos on the same subject. So the whole like Coachella has clearly become an element that made like festival going as like a fashion show, to the point that like the brands have caught up on that, and they actually know what they're doing. They kind of know that in festival season um it's going to be like, so they're going to have more traffic, more people interested, because those people are trying to find outfits to go to those festival. Like I always think about like the fashion girlies that I watch or follow. Majority of them are UK based, so a lot of them like have Glastonbury, and Glastonbury is one of the, if not the biggest UK festival and one of the biggest in Europe. And it's kind of a big deal, and also like Glastonbury, I was talking about in my last video, when I think about indie sleaze, I think about, Kate Moss, Glastonbury, muddy welly boots. Fashion brands have caught up on the popularity of, like young people going to festivals and posting them on Instagram and social media and all that jazz. I'm going to read you a quote about like the whole fashion brands, like capitalizing on the festival fashion. And it's a quote by Alesia Becker, who is a Remake ambassador. Remake is this fashion website, which is a website that is like thinking about fashion in a sustainable way. And she had that to say, and I quote: "Festival season has turned into more of a fashion show than a music festival. Brands then capitalize on this and come out with festival lines/collections where they produce an absorbent amount of fast fashion that will rarely be worn more than once and most likely will end up in a landfill. Then they'll get influencers to promote them, and it has a trickle-down effect on their followers who will purchase the items." So this kind of summarize what I was saying about how like the brands then get on the bandwagon and kind of see like that there's money to be made. And that's what you need to understand about most of those fast fashion brands. Is fast fashion brands, they are not there for the love of fashion. They are there for the love of making banks. There's a reason why they churn out more clothes than there are human beings on this planet, and that they're going to follow up on trends. Like, for example, you have sites such as Shein, or even ASOS, which is more of a traditional fast fashion brand, where you can type in the name of an artist, for example Harry Styles, and it's going to suggest you some like outfits and items that are best to be worn for a Harry Styles concert. So that's how they really try to capitalize on the whole element. And because again, this neoliberal capitalistic society does not care about human lives or just our well-being, the more they can produce clothes en masse, the better it is for them, because first of all, it's cheaper to produce clothes in a huge batch. I talk about it in my video about how fashion should be seen as craftsmanship and not just something disposable. And the reason why those sustainable brands are going to be more expensive than a regular fast fashion brand is because they work in small batches, so it costs more. And whereas when you kind of churn out bigger batches, it's going to be like less costly. So, like there's this, and, we all are aware of how bad fast fashion is for the environment because of its production system, which is actually the core of the problem. Like the way they produce is actually really, really bad, because there's this need of infinitely producing, which is actually everything that capitalism stands for, infinite growth for maximum profit. But the thing is, you cannot have infinite growth without causing damages. There's always at some point where these infinite growth is not going to be infinite anymore, like especially when you see like how the resources are being used up. Yeah, like we are a declining empire for like something. And not only that, not only the production side, but also the human rights violations. The people who are making those clothes are not making them in good conditions, in safe environments. That's the reason why fast fashion is a problem. And all the articles that I was reading was actually pointing out how, the environmental issues is a problem, which it is. Fast fashion is one of the most polluting, fashion in general, fashion is one of the most polluting industries in the world right now. And if we don't slow down and rethink and change the way everything are being produced, we like the problem are going to keep repeating itself, and we're just free falling to our demise. There was a study made in 2019 by Census Wide in the UK, where they were saying that every year around festival concert season in the UK, about 50.3 million outfits. The reason why people like have no remorse buying like single-use outfit is because we have been pushed into viewing fashion as something disposable, something that we bought it for so cheap. What should we care that we only wearing it once? And the quality of clothing has become so much worse over the years that the clothes are not even standing a chance to be worn multiple times. Like after a wear, some of them are just completely gone. There's a reason why there's an epidemic of Shein and Boohoo clothing in charity shops in the UK, where literally I feel like you can't, you have racks and racks of just with still the tag on, because people just know that it's not going to last, or they just bought it for this one event because it was cheap. So why really bother? And it's because the system has kind of let us know that you should not bother too much. We don't care if you're making like creating waste, because anyways the waste that we make here in the west is then sent in landfills in Africa, in countries like Ghana, or South America in countries like Chile. And mind you, those countries have no choice but to accept our mess, because otherwise, if they do complain or try to stop it, they are sanctioned by Western countries for not taking our waste.
United States and Europe have sort of forced this arrangement on these countries. And when they have tried to stop it, the United States and Europe have imposed punishments on them. For example, trying to take away the duty-free status of anybody that wouldn't take the secondhand clothing, or taxing them in ways, or taking away grant money.
We need community IRL, and we're being more and more isolated. And because of that, when we have the opportunity to have community outside and to engage with that community outside, which is like in real life, we are going to, do everything we can in order to be part of the community. And so the outfit is very, important element to distinguish yourself in that community, and kind of show your belonging to that community. More so, not distinguish, but distinguish yourself from other communities, but show like belonging to your own community. And because of that, suddenly we're not really going to think much about the effects of, consuming fast fashion, because that's not the main goal. The main goal is to actually experience community, global community with people who share the same love and interest as you, and because we live in this global apathy, what's happening like elsewhere is not our problem, because we were told that we should not care. We live in a time where time is a luxury. Having free time is a luxury. It's literally so it's becoming so rare for people to really have time for themselves, that since like you don't really have time, you don't really either have time to think much and to really kind of assess the situation, and because you don't have the time to assess the situation, and you don't have that luxury, you're going to take everything that is easily, accessible to you. That is what capitalism has done to our society, is that because it's reducing the free time that we have, then it forces us to kind of rely on what's the most accessible. Because not only we have like less free time, but we also having less and less money. So we need to do with what, is accessible to us. And what is accessible? Fast fashion, which is a system that is existing because capitalism has put in there, because it actually generates a lot of profit. So the more profit you generate, the better it is in this neoliberal capitalistic society. And I like to think about, like global phenomenon on a really, really 360 in a way situation. And that's why I don't like blaming the individual, because you never really know the situation. I will always hate fast fashion for the way it operates, and the way the lack of like interest it has on well-being, and also the very obvious racism, where when it's black and brown bodies it does not care, because this system like would not really fly much here in Europe, if it was white European, Western European bodies that were, under these practices. Editing Ruth here to add Eastern Europeans in the lot, because Eastern Europe does have sweatshops which employ majority women, and a lot of those women are women from rural areas and immigrants, and those people's well-being are not accounted for at all. And in general, if you do pay attention to, politics and the power dynamic between, regions of the world, you might have seen or known that Eastern European are not viewed as like equal to Western European. Western Europeans are seen as above everyone, and it's something that is quite prevalent in also the way that like the West treats the East, and has been treated the East for many years. And that's something that I might touch upon in upcoming videos, because it's very interesting to actually see like how the dynamic plays out, and what it means to the global understanding of politics and also like this system, because like fast fashion is still happening also in Europe, by the way. In Italy there's like a bunch of factories that are functioning just like fast fashion factories abroad in the global majority. It's happening there too, but the only difference is that the bodies that are being employed are undocumented or immigrants. So, and majority of them are non-white. So because of that, people don't really care really much. It's not making much noise, but it exists, just so you know. And this apathy is also kind of a result and very symptomatic to individualism, because like when you don't see the impact that it has on the collective, um like the system keeps working as intended, and that's how the system wants to keep working, because the system does not want to be disrupted, because it's beneficial for some, for a few, and you know because of that, then it kind of latches on elements that people are into, because the system knows that we are in need and yearning for community, yearning to again like have a sense of belonging. And so the system is like, we can actually offer you that for this amount. How all kind of like life interactions are becoming commodified, that even the need of belonging and community can only be accessible if you pay a certain amount and you partake in this like vicious neoliberal capitalistic system. And by the way, I want to preface, like, the reason why we criticize neoliberal capitalism is because we are forced to. And anything you are forced to do against your will, you are well allowed to criticize them. We're not going to be blind and pretend that things are working perfectly, because they are not. And it's just that we need to understand that concert fashion culture has been commodified, so it's benefiting, like fast fashion industry, whilst it is destroying our planet. But the problem is not the individual, because we need community. We are beings that live in community for a reason, and that's why we have existed for this long. But the system is not willing to give us to us, because the system is not going to give us things where we can thrive. Like capitalism is always this thing where it's going to create issues, then coming with a solution, but for that solution you need to pay, instead of maybe like stop your neoliberal system, stop your neo-colonial system as well. No, like capitalism is not here for our well-being, and the well-being here is the community, because people in community, people organizing, people like having each other's back. Like there's a reason why we say a people united will never be defeated, and because we live in a system that knows that damn well division is the best way to rule and control a people. When there's no unification and no solidarity, it's the best way. And so removing our third places, removing those third places and offering us, um like capitalistic version of a third place, which is concerts, which is important because we need culture, but it's more this idea of, oh no, now if you want community, you need to pay. You need to pay for your ticket, and because you really, really yearning for that community, that sense of community and belonging, you need to also partake in the, whole fashion culture that comes with it, with like depending on the community you are on, or you are in. You see what I mean when I say that? That's why it's so fucking important. And I do agree with the articles that I read that it is speed running the climate crisis, especially that we've been talking about how, the fashion industry is a catastrophe for the environment, and this needs to be discussed. But I think it's so important to also see the bigger picture and to understand, what are people in need of relying on fast fashion. And there's so many features, and that's also why I like to think critically, because the moment you kind of understood, um, that the problem is the system and not the people, you think about, you know, the industry differently. Individual action is very important, and individual responsibility as well. But it's also very important to understand that, like, we need a collective awakening and understanding of the system so we can change it, and the moment we're going to change it and have a more sustainable system, there we're going to have a better approach with our consumption, with our, relation to, like, XYZ, because everything is plagued with neoliberal capitalism right now. So nothing is really kind of great. Even the solutions that we are giving within, sustainable fashion, are still unethical and unsustainable in the long run, because you can't be sustainable and ethical in a system that is inherently unsustainable and unethical. My solutions for, uh, like, better, like, concert fashion culture is first to veer away from ownership. We live in a time where people need to own things, because again, like, capitalism is all about ownership. If you don't own it, can you really claim it, and you don't necessarily need to own things. That's the same thing when I think about, the lack of, um third spaces. And one of the third spaces that I think about a lot is libraries, because libraries have been heavily defunded. And, like, when you also see, like, the rise of book talk and booktube and stuff like that, there's this kind of need of always owning a book when you could borrow it. And it's the same with fashion. With fashion, you don't necessarily need to own an item, you can borrow it. And there's where community comes, in play, where you can actually, borrow from friends, from family, like, even if you're part of a fandom, get into your fandom and ask question, like, say where you are, which city you are, and what you're looking for, or show pictures and see if you can borrow from each other, because it's going to be, like, way more sustainable that way, and it's even more enjoyable, because then you get to even create a stronger community, and meet, like, really amazing people, like, when you get to borrow and stuff like that. Whereas, this idea of having to own things, and for those things to then be tossed away and create waste that is being sent in the global south, is not the best way. So, veering away from ownership and daring to ask for, like, borrowing clothes is actually so important, especially that when I think about, fandoms, I always think about the fact that each fandoms have, like, there's always at least one massive fandom Instagram page, which loves to share, also pictures of, like outfit goers and all that jazz. And I think we could also use those fandom pages to kind of, do some like borrowing thing. And like the same way people might also send those fan pages, like, oh, I'm looking for this ticket, in search of this ticket for that date and stuff like that. Do the same for clothes. There's someone who lives in that area or in that city, has something, or is going to that concert, could actually lend me this or that. I think it's something that could be done, and that is not being done at all. And that's the best way for community. The second way is to try to be more creative. And if you have the time, and again, I insist, if you have the time, because time is a luxury, you can make your own outfit. And trying to be a bit more kind of, like, for example, when I went to Harry Styles concert, I went to three Harry Styles concert, and like I managed to still stay in my own, style. But like the things that I was wearing was kind of reminiscing a bit of the Harry Styles universe. I was more thinking about the Harry Styles universe more than, really mimicking exactly an outfit. Like for the first night, I was wearing this long sleeve in this asymmetric way with like flowers, and it kind of reminded me of, the whole Love on Tour. There was always a video playing, and the video is very cartoonish, so it kind of reminded me of that. And then the next day I had like a green top, and the green top was very reminiscent to a kiwi, and Harry has a song called Kiwi, so I thought that it was also very, in the theme. And for the last concert, for the very, last concert of the tour in Italy, it was in a festival field. So what I decided to do is to have a very kind of festival vibe with my outfit. So I was wearing my yellow wellies, and I crocheted the set that I was wearing with the choker, the rose choker, and the yellow hairnet. And basically, so it's this, blue with kind of, from far away, it looks like a cloud, like booty shorts. And my top, it was this like white tube top, and it is like there's lettering saying "Love of My Life's Lover," because "Love of My Life" was one of my favorite songs from his latest album. And the yellow, again, the song Daylight, Sun, and all that jazz. So, that's more the way I was thinking the whole outfit. And, at least you make it also your own, but still very much reminiscent to the artist that you're going to. I'm not much of a Harry anymore as of today. But when I went, that's how I decided to do that. Like if you have if you can actually personalize your outfit, make it your own, and have the time, is amazing. If you have the means and you can have someone make your outfit, not everybody has the means, so but if you do, because again, like the importance of craftsmanship, like I feel that you will enjoy even more knowing that somebody made your outfit with so much love. Like I know during the Love on Tour, some girls had their outfit, either they made the outfit themselves, or their mother or aunt or grandmother made it. And I think it's actually so touching and even so moving to have like someone making your outfit and really taking the time for that. And another thing, when it comes to like outfits, is to, for example, like the outfits that I made, like the full outfit that I made for the last concert. I also made sure that it would be like pieces that I would wear also individually outside of the concert, that it's not just something that I would wear for the concert, because like the two first outfit were literally my like regular clothes. I was even wearing this is actually a dress, this is a sheer dress that I like to wear as a skirt, and I was wearing that with my like kiwi like top. So it's very regular thing. It's clothes that I wear regularly, but I wanted to make sure that also the outfits that I was making, I would be wearing it regularly as well. And so, you know, like I made like a booty short because I wanted to have a pair of booty short that I also wear on its own, and like the tube top, I also wear it on its own. So at least I know that the clothes are also wearable separately, or wearable for other time. And that's something that, as someone who is very much into sustainable fashion and ethical fashion, I think a lot about that to make sure that I have as much wear as I can with my clothes. If you don't have any other option than to buy, you know, fast fashion because last minute, because you don't have time, because you don't have much means, and you still want to partake in the like zeitgeist of the concept fashion culture, maybe think about, you know, maybe reselling your item of clothing, trying to get it secondhand. I don't know, like maybe trying to think about what you're going to do with it afterwards. Again, the whole thing is about changing the way you think, and kind of understanding that we need to, since we are yearning for this need of community, we need to create it. You know, we need to go against the current and create it. And, you know, we know that neoliberal capitalism is not going to bring us the community like we want it. They're always going to commodify it, and we should not accept having our communities being commodified. So we can also bring back third spaces again, because this is actually important. So I really highly suggest that, like, if you go to a concert or if you go to a festival this year, try to like think about more sustainable ways. But yeah, in general, that's the solutions that I have, and I think it's just that we should think about like everything critically, you know, and get people around, create community, because a people united will never be defeated. All right, guys, so that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comment, what are your thoughts on the concert fashion culture? Is it something you love to partake in? Is it something that you cringe at? Like, what are your thoughts on that? And if you like this video, please give me a like. This helps me a lot. Share it around. It never hurts nobody to share it. And in the meantime, I'll see you in my next video. Love always.